Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here. One of our favorite beer stuff things, Massive Beer Review Classics. Lagunitas IPA. Highly balanced, super drinkable, 6.2%. I had to review this before. I didn't want to go look for it. But it deserves classic standings because it's been around for quite some time. I found it in Wegmans Mix to 6. I said, hey, I should review that. We find ourselves here. What do we got going on here? A Lagunitas IPA. Like I said, 6.2% alcohol by volume. This is from November 14th, 2023. It is March 3rd, 2024. So November, December, January, February, March. Less than 4 months old. Yeah. Story time. Goddamn it, Lagunitas. It says, you're holding the gold standard for a hop-forward approach to brewing. Our flagship IPA, dreamed in California 30-odd years ago amongst the redwoods, rugged coastlines, and rolling hills of Sonoma County, now brewed from Petaluma to Chicago and beyond. Yet somehow this particular bottle found its way into your reality at this very moment. Well, life is uncertain. Don't sip. They still put their phone number on here. I've never called it. I should. This comes out, brewing company, brewed in by, okay, this is a Petaluma beer. It's not a Chicago beer, which is odd. You figure out here on the East Coast we get the Chicago jams. Did they close their Chicago thing? No, that can't be true. Yeah. I don't remember anything about the beer. Do I need a bottle opener? Yes, I do. Do I have a bottle opener? I actually do. More often than not, I don't. I smell stinky weed. So, got something going for it still. Label-wise, it's actually different than what I remember it being. It's got to be updated. I think this whole white section was quite a bit bigger. And I don't know if they had the little dog dude down there. I don't remember, but it's classic. Let's put it that way. Beer-wise, that'd be clear beer. Clear beer, soft carbonation, a little bit of particulate haze, but for all intents and purposes, it is clear with just a barely off-white head. Really soapy edges to it. Looks the part of a nice West Coaster. Good nose. It smells like weed. It honestly does. Ranky dank weed. It smells like weed. It smells like, it smells like it just walked into the Alchemist brewery, because that's like I've been in a ton of breweries. I've never been out west, but I've been in a ton of breweries here up and down the East Coast, Canada, whole nine, and I've walked into breweries and everybody's like, man, it smells like weed in here, and I always kind of roll my eyes and be like, not really. It kind of smells like hops in here, but I think you're just exaggerating, but I get where you're going, so yeah. No. Fucking Alchemist. You walk in that motherfucker, you're like, it smells like weed in here. Probably because they're smoking a ton of weed in there on top of the beers that they make. But this smells like that smells. So it smells like weed. Have I told you yet that it smells like weed? I don't know. I can't get past it now. There's a sweet malt. There's a little bit of, it's probably more tomato stocky meets weed kind of thing going on here. But that's pretty much it. Weed and glass. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. That's a good beer, man. That's a good beer. I really should have done it a little bit more proper and done it fresh. I really wanted to review this beer when I saw it. Didn't really want to drop, get a 6er worth of it. I probably should have, because I do enjoy it now. I think it would be a little bit more boisterous, a little bit more vibrant, closer to a month or so old. But man, that nose leads you to believe that there's weed. And that taste is just classic West Coastiness. It shifts from that just ranky-dank weediness to a bit more resinous pininess. Not hyper over the top. It's not palate wrecking, but it's bitter enough. Lingers with each additional sip. It has this initial pop of sweetness that dries right out because it's brewed, fully attenuated, nice, clean beer. lingering bittering on the tongue. Nice mouthfeel for this style of beer. Again, you're not going to expect a big turbid thing, but it has a density to it while at the same time being drinkable. And really, it's a combination. It feels like almost like a two-row crystal malt kind of combination, kind of bopping back and forth on the malt side of things, while being purposeful and meaningful. It's not heavy. Again, stays drinkable. This is a really good beer. Is it like, and this is the thing, you know, having, you know, the reissue of Ruination and having some really great West Coast IPAs, is this, we'll cut to it because it's really not that complex of a beer. We've kind of spoken about it completely. The Mount Rushmore status thing. Is this Mount Rushmore status as of late? Because I've had some really great West Coasties as of late. West Coast IPA. No. I don't know if it ever was. Some people could argue that. I think it was Lagunitas' Mount Rushmore of their West Coast. And I mean that in the sense that it's a bit, you know, it's jogging memories drinking it. It's drinking what I remember to drink like, which is heavily West Coast influence, but its own thing. Its own thing. It's not the Palate Wrecker. It's, you know, Green Flash. It's not Stone. It's not, you know, Sierra Nevada. It's its own thing. It's that weed component and the way the beer kind of comes off. While it, you know, obviously they've been around forever, they hold their own kind of Mount Rushmore mantle when it comes to those West Coast breweries. But I always feel like this beer and their West Coast stuff was just a skosh theirs. Skosh more theirs than a little bit similar to everybody else's. And that's why I want to kind of explain that away. Not so much that it's not worthy of being one of those beers. It's just always been a little bit different for me. But the DNA is there. And it drinks really, really nice. I just, like I said, I kind of wish I had a little bit fresher bottle to see how it would pop. But West Coast beers are really, really hyper stable too. So I don't think 3-4 months on a West Coast IPA is all that bad. You know, that's how we all drank them. You know, especially, you know, 15, 20 years ago. You weren't getting a month-old Lagunitas or a month-old anything from over there. It took that long for them to get over here. And when it did, certainly wasn't traveling in a refrigerated truck, and it probably got bootlegged, and it got all kinds of weirdness going on. Now, you know, these come refrigerated trucks, packaged correctly, blah, 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 blah. So I think it's probably an accurate representation of the beer. Again, just that little bit of curiousness in my brain, thinking it might be a little bit different, be a little bit showier, be a little bit dankier if it was a little bit fresher, but a fun beer nonetheless. And a cool little revisit, a cool little classics to go back to. Would I buy a sixer of this? Drinking this now, I really want to buy the freshest one I possibly can. If I felt in the mood, I'd definitely dive back into this, especially because their price points are usually pretty killer. But I think it's a really well-made beer, zero flaws. That weed on nose is fantastic. Probably some of the best on-nose weed of a beer I've gotten outside of beers that are trying to shtick the weed thing, like that 420 from down south, Sweetwater, whatever it is. Like, they're just being like, hey, we made this smell like weed. This is like, here's our West Coast IPA, and you're like, holy shit, this smells like weed. They're doing it their way, and I think it's delicious. Review in the books. Hopefully you enjoyed. Mount Rushmore says, no. Valued availability everywhere for cheap. And leave you with, if you like what you like this. If you like West Coast, but you want the weed in the nose, you're going to be hard-pressed to find something markedly better than this. You probably can, but like I said, Mount Rushmore status for me, not so much, but very tasty and a classic nonetheless. Lagunitas, have you been to the breweries? Have you done that whole thing? Had the beers? Had this beer down there? Favorite Lagunitas beer? What's my favorite Lagunitas beer? I don't remember. I'm think about that. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of old school right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers, y'all.